What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Fight Day MMA Show with your host, Kayla Nero, and my man, Kanan Sonye. And today we're going to be giving y'all a pre-fight analysis of UFC Fight Night 174, Whittaker versus Till. So for these small cards, again, guys, we're only going to be doing the main event. Not the main event, the main card. So this main card is actually pretty big. They have 7 fights in this main card. So we're going to make sure to go over all those fights for y'all and kind of give y'all a breakdown and then give y'all our picks. And we'll still have this ongoing competition between me and Kanan on see who gets the most picks right for the fights. Even though he busted me up last Saturday, I kind of got to redeem myself. But it doesn't, the way we've been talking about it, doesn't look like I'm going to have much room to gain ground, if anything, because it looks like we picked a lot of the same for these cards here. So for our first fight on the main card, we have Khamzat Chimaev. I can't pronounce it right. Kanan, you might better pronounce it right. Versus Reece McKee.
I think it's Kamaru.
Chimaev. So, I mean, it's not like you can pick one of his names, like with Habib Nurmagomedov. I could say it, but it's easier just to say Habib. With this guy, you don't have that luxury. It's just either Khamzat or Chimaev. I'm just gonna call him Khamzat, or I'm just gonna call him K for right now. So he fought 2 cards ago in his UFC debut and beat John Phillips by Darce in the second round. He was fighting at middleweight for that card, and he's normally a welterweight. So we'll actually get to see him making his true UFC debut at his weight class this time. I feel like he'll be a lot stronger than his opponent because he was a lot stronger than his opponent at 185. So now that he's going down to 170, I think that strength's going to really translate. He has a very high output, very high pace in his fighting style. He reminds me a lot of Habib, the way he fights. So that's going to be very interesting to watch him kind of go to work with a guy like Reece McKee, who's kind of a well-rounded fighter, it seems to be. I mean, he's on a 3-fight win streak, but he's making his UFC debut, so we don't know exactly what level of competition those last 3 fights were at. He has finished 2 out of the last 3 in the first round, however, so he's coming in kind of hot. I think he might be a little bit fresher of a fighter just due to Khamzat really making a quick turnaround, only fighting like 3 weeks ago. That's a real quick turnaround for fighters nowadays. But I don't think he'll be able to handle Khamzat's grappling. I think Khamzat's just going to do kind of what Khabib does to everybody and just wear him out and just beat on him for 3 rounds until he either gives it a submission, gets knocked out, or just rides it out, you know?
Yeah, man, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think Khamzat is definitely going to be the guy to watch out for in this fight. Both of these fighters coming in, they both are finishing fighters. They have 17 combined wins and 17 combined finishes. I don't think this fight is going to go the full distance. I think there's going to be a finish in this fight, but I think Khamzat is going to do what it takes to win this fight. Watching last fight, I didn't really know who he was, and watching that fight in the prelims, I was impressed. He dominated that fight, and it was incredible watching. It reminded me a lot of Khabib, like you said. Like, he just sat there and dominated. Right. I think at one point he threw a kick and it went straight to a takedown, and that was just like everybody was freaking out. It was amazing watching him do what he does. I was impressed. I don't know much about McKee, but I don't think in his UFC debut this is who he wants to face. I think Khamzat is gonna thoroughly dominate this fight, and I look for him to get the finish. I'm gonna go with a second round finish.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I'm going with Khamzat in this fight.
Yeah, I think Khamzat really impressed a lot of people, especially some of the UFC execs. I mean, to be able on your second card, already making it onto the main card, it looks like they kind of stretched this main card to throw him on there. You know, I think they're really trying to push. I think they're really trying to push him forward, and that's a real good thing for him. So yeah, I got Khamzat as well in that fight.
That quick turnaround, man. It's been like a week and a half since his last fight.
All right, they're gonna pay him back for it, you know.
Oh yeah.
All right, for the next fight, we have Alex Oliveira versus Peter Tabata. Oliveira is coming off of a split decision win after losing 3 straight before that. But those losses, I know one of them was Mike Perry. It was a real close fight for that one as well. But Oliveira is still a dangerous fighter, always has been, always will be. He's real long and lanky for the division. He has really good strikes, real good kicks, and he's amazing on the ground. He has really good grappling. His submission skills are really going to give Tabata a challenge, I believe. Tabata is coming off of a loss all the way back from 2018 was the last time he fought. And he got finished in the 3rd round by Leon Edwards with like 1 second left in the fight. Tabata's kind of grappling expert himself. He has 10 out of his 17 wins are by submission. So this is kind of one of those fights where I think you're not going to see it go to the ground. You know, whenever you have two really good grapplers or two really good wrestlers, it normally just stays on the feet. I think if that's the case, I think Oliveira is just a better, well-rounded fighter. And I think Oliveira is just going to piece him up on the feet. I think if Tabata really wants to take him down, he can. But he's just going to have to be really careful because Oliveira can catch a lot of submissions off of his back because he's so long. So it makes it a lot easier for him to hit triangles and stuff like that from the bottom because of his length, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna take Oliveira to win this fight. I think this fight will go to decision. I think both of these guys are really well rounded, and I think they're both too good at grappling to get submitted. The only way I could see a finish happening is maybe if Oliveira just comes out there and starters him in the first or second round and just hits him with a shot and puts him to sleep. That's the only way I can really see a finish happening in this fight.
I'm with you here. I think I'm gonna go with Oliveira in this fight as well, just because he is the more well-rounded fighter. Both of these guys are good on the ground. They submitted several people. They have about 32 combined finishes, and their 38 wins. They're finishing guys, and they've also faced top-level guys. Like you saw, Oliveira's fought Mike Perry. He lost to Mike Perry, and he's fought Leon Edwards. He lost to Edwards, but they're still fighting these good guys. Tabata got knocked out with 1 second left, which, I mean, last thing line, Leon Edwards is in the top 4 of that weight class now.
People are arguing that he deserves the title shot over Gilbert Burns next.
But I think it's gonna be a closer fight than we think. But I do think you were right, and Oliveira is the more well-rounded fighter, and he's the better fighter on the feet. And if it does go to the ground, I believe it's even enough to where there won't be a finish on the ground. But yeah, I'm with you here. I think there's gonna be a decision by Oliveira, and I'm gonna lock that in.
Alrighty. So for the next fight, we have Paul Craig versus, Godzilla, Marat, and Tigulov. I'm just going to go with Tigulov from now on. He's another Dagestan guy, but we'll get to him. So Paul Craig is a submission expert, to say the least. He's won 11 out of his 12 fights by decision. I think Paul Craig is the better submission artist out of these two guys by a pretty decent margin. I think his jiu-jitsu is a lot better. I think a lot of Antigulov's submissions have come because of his wrestling. He's from Dagestan, obviously, so he wrestles. Everybody from Dagestan wrestles. At least that's what it seems like. I'm pretty sure he's some type of Sambo world champion as well because everybody from Dagestan is a Sambo world champion. But he has 15 out of his 20 wins by submission as well. But I think Antigulov kind of likes to catch the head and arm triangle or rear naked choke. I think he tries to go for more of the bully submissions, whereas Paul Craig's going to be a lot more efficient off his back. I think this might be a fight where we see it stay on the feet more than we expected to, just because I think Antigulov is going to try and take him down, but Paul Craig's takedown defense is really good. And if it does get to the ground, I think Paul Craig's going to be able to threaten with enough submissions to be able to get himself back up on the feet. And if that's the case, I think Paul Craig definitely has the length and the length advantage, and he has pretty good hands for being a submission guy. So I'm going to give Paul Craig the decision win. It's going to be a tight fight. I mean, I think this one's kind of a toss-up. I can probably say this is more of a pick-em. But if I'm going to be putting my money on it, I'd definitely put it on Craig, just because I think Craig's going to be a little bit better on the ground and a little bit better on the feet.
So, man, both of these guys are great wrestlers and submission artists, which, as you can tell by their finishes and their records. But, man, Antigulov's lost his last 2 fights by KO. There's been flaws in his stand-up. With how great of wrestlers and submission artists these both guys are, I think this fight's going to come down to the feet. And being knocked out in your last 2 fights does not bode well for you. I think that he will lose this fight on the feet. If he's going to have to take him down and manhandle him to win this fight, because he will not win on the feet. I don't think his stand-up is good enough to win this fight. And with that being said, I think Craig is going to do what it takes on the feet to win this fight, because they're so balanced on the ground that the feet is where it's going to end up coming down to. I think there's going to be a few submission attempts and great submission defense, but I think this fight is going to come down to the feet, and I think Craig has a better stand-up game, and he will win this fight because of that.
Yep. Okay, so we're 3 fights in, all 3 same picks. So let's keep it going, man. So now we got Carla Esparza versus Marina Rodriguez. Carla is one of the best wrestlers in that 115-pound division, the strawweight division, and is a former champion of the division and is currently on a 3-fight win streak. She's starting to seem like she's kind of having a resurgence in her career a little bit after coming off of that loss to, I believe, Tatiana Suarez, who's a beast, by the way. Rodriguez, however, is undefeated, but she's coming off of a draw versus Cynthia Calvillo, who Carla was able to beat. But if you look at it, Rodriguez also had a draw with Marcos, who beat Carla. So this is just another example that you can't look at who's beat who, and MMA math doesn't work. However, when looking at Rodriguez's record, she has done well against wrestlers. Like, I want to say Tatiana Suarez is one of them. I don't know if she beat Tatiana. No, I don't think so. But there were some wrestlers that she did really well against, and I think her jiu-jitsu game and her takedown defense are really good, and so she's going to be able to keep Carla off of her, unlike Michelle Waterson wasn't able to do, and I think she's definitely going to be able to piece Carla up on the feet. Therefore, I'm going to pick Rodriguez to win this fight. Again, this is another one that I'd say is kind of a pick 'em. However, I think Rodriguez is kind of starting to make her surge onto the scene. She's going to do a good enough job keeping herself on the feet, keeping Carla off of her, and I think she's definitely going to have the advantage on the feet.
I'm going to agree with you there that she's going to definitely have that advantage on the feet. Carla, she's not the greatest striker in the world. She's going to definitely rely on her wrestling game to get her through this fight. Both of these women are decision fighters, and this fight will go to 3 rounds. I don't believe one bit that this fight will be there will be a finish in this fight. I believe this fight will go to 3 rounds, and I think Rodriguez's takedown defense is good enough for her to win this fight. I think she will land more punches, and she will land heavier punches, and she would defend the takedown well enough to win the fight. And I also am going with Rodriguez because of that fact. I think that Carla is going to rely too much on her takedown, on her wrestling, and it's make her one-dimensional. I don't think she's going to have the stand-up like in the last fight. I don't think she's going to have the stand-up to win this fight. So I'm going with Rodriguez in a decision victory.
See, this next fight, I think I'm not the most excited about this fight, but this is the fight that is my second most favorite fight on this card.
I'm most excited about the fighter. I don't care about the other fighter. I'm most excited about that one fighter.
Right. So we got Fabricio Werdum versus Alexander Gustafsson, who's making his debut at heavyweight. That's extremely exciting because Gus has always been a long light heavyweight, and I always thought that he could do very good at heavyweight. Fabricio is coming off of a 2-fight skid and hasn't looked the same as he's recently came back from a 2-year USADA suspension for tainted supplements. But, I mean, since he's come back, man, I just don't think he's looked the same. I think he's looked loose and blubbery. Like in his last fight against Oleinik, he looked soft. He didn't look very sharp. Maybe it could have been ring rust, and it had been because he was off for 2 years. So I'm not going to come out and completely say Verdum's done. I think we will see a sharper Werdum Saturday, but I think he's definitely going to lose this one. Alex is going to be super fast for a heavyweight, and Werdum has tended to struggle with smaller heavyweights who are light on their feet. He's lost to Stipe, Volkov, who's kind of a lighter guy at heavyweight, even though he's so tall, he's long and kind of quick. Those guys he struggled with and lost to. And Werdum definitely will have the jiu-jitsu advantage, obviously. But Alex's wrestling is really good. He was able to take down DC, and he was able to take down John Jones. He's one of the only people, I think, ever to take down John Jones. He might still be the only person to ever take down John Jones. He's a really good wrestler. He has really good takedown defense. He did a good job of defending the takedowns against DC and against John Jones. And those two guys are two of the best wrestlers, period, whatever weight class you want to talk about. I think Alex is going to keep the fight standing, and I think it's going to look a lot like whenever Alex fought Glover Teixeira. I think Alex is going to hit him with 47 uppercuts in a row and then just sleep him with a straight right. I really do think Alex is going to come out here. I don't think he'll finish it in the first round, but I definitely can see a second round finish for Alex. I think he's just going to box Verdum's head off, man. I can't see any circumstance where Werdum wins this fight.
Man, with Gus coming out of retirement, that was a big thing for him, that he wanted to be mentally ready, even if he's coming back in this game, and I think he is. And then moving to heavyweight, he's just adding muscle. He was already a dominant. He was throwing heavy hands at light heavyweight and putting on this weight. We've seen it with DC when he knocked out Stipe that first fight. That weight being put on, that definitely adds a lot to your punches, and he already had a heavy hands is what we've seen. I still believe he beat John Jones in that first fight. Gustafsson he's a different kind of animal. He's one of the greatest fighters to never win a title at light heavyweight. It's crazy. Look at the guys he's
greatest
beaten.
fighters to never win a title, period.
Yeah, I fully believe that. I think I'm definitely excited about this fight. I'm excited about watching him get back to it because Gus is exciting to watch. He's gonna stand and bang with you, and his takedown offense is great. I don't think Werdum is gonna be able to handle it. I think Verdum's gonna get knocked out first round, second round, one of them.
It's gonna be early.
But I think that Gus is gonna show the world what he's been doing since his retirement because he's definitely been training. There's no way he hasn't. I think that Gus is gonna put Werdum to bed, and this might be one of Verdum's last fights with that. He's an old dog, man. He's losing steam. Ever since he had the title and lost to the Stipe, he's just been downhill from there.
He looked to kind of have a resurgence after that a little bit, but then he got popped for the USADA violation, and then after that, it was kind of downhill.
I think that Gus is gonna knock out Werdum, and
I agree.
I think it'll be nasty. I'm excited for it. Me
too. All right, guys. So for our co-main event, we have Mauricio Shogun Hua versus Antonio Rogero. I can't even pronounce his middle name. It's Shogun versus Lil Nog, guys. I can't pronounce these names. It's an absolute
battle of the retirement homes.
Yeah, absolute two legends of the sport fighting in this fight. But like Kanan said, these guys are gonna walk in with their walkers to get to the octagon, and then walk out with a cane. Shogun, I think, still a little bit more fresh though out of the two ancients. Shogun would definitely have the advantage on the feet, and we'll look to keep it there to avoid that famous Nogueira Jiu-Jitsu. Shogun is coming off of a draw against Paul Craig, so it showed that he can do well, or at least not lose to someone who's really good at Jiu-Jitsu. But he beat Lil Nog back in 2015, so this is a rematch. And Shogun has won 4 out of his last 6, so he's only dropping 1 to Anthony Smith, and then a draw to Paul Craig. So, I mean, he's still been kind of doing well at his age. Nogueira, however, will definitely have the advantage if he can get it to the ground. I just don't think he'll be able to do it. I think Shogun's going to just outclass him on the feet and have good enough takedown defense to keep Nogueira off of him. Nogueira was also finished early in his last fight, like I want to say 53 seconds in. So I don't think his chin's there anymore. And with Shogun, who hits hard as hell and who's put countless people to sleep throughout his career, I think this might be an early night, guys. I think Shogun's going to come out there and re-spark an old memory in a lot of our diehard MMA fans' brains, and it's going to put Nogueira to sleep mid-round 1, maybe early round 2.
I'm going to agree with you there, but actually Shogun is actually 2-0 against Nog. Both of those by decision.
Oh, yeah.
I think the first one was 0-5.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I do remember that.
I think Shogun is strong in all areas of the game. He's good on the ground. He's good on the feet. Nog is 2-4 in his last 6 fights. He's been knocked out 3 times in his last 4 fights. And last 4 losses. So you know that chin's not there. I saw something that says when you've been getting punched for about 20 years, I don't think anybody's chin would be there anymore. I think that this fight's going to be a knockout for Shogun. I think Shogun is going to put Lil Nog to bed, and I do believe it's going to be the first 2 rounds. Definitely, possibly first round.
Right.
Highly likely it's going to be in the first round because I don't think these guys are going to last much outside the first round.
Because, I mean, these guys have already been in there twice before. It's not like they need a feel-out period. They already know what they're going against, for the most part.
Yeah, but that age is a hell of a thing.
Yeah, like I said, they're going to walk in with their walkers and walk out with a cane.
One guy is going to be assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more.
All right, guys, and now we're at the main event where we have Robert Bobby Knuckles Whittaker versus Darren the Gorilla Till. Oh, boy. It's going to be a fight for the ages here, man. Definitely probably going to be my pick for fight of the night as of right now. Robert Whittaker has one key to success, and it's going to be getting inside on Till and turning the fight into a brawl. Till's a rhythm fighter. He'll look to stand back and pick Rob off from the outside, kind of what he did with Kelvin. And Rob's blitz style is the best possible tool set to have in order to beat a guy like Till. However, Till hits pretty hard. It makes people think twice about stepping inside. Asked Jorge Masvidal in the first round of their fight. He kind of tried to blitz Till. Till blasted him with a left hand and dropped him. Now, ultimately, Jorge got the last laugh. But I think Till was kind of standing back with his chin high in the air, was being very immature, and got slept for it. So looking at Till did a good job against Kelvin, keeping him outside, keeping him from advancing. I find he did a lot better job than Israel did, keeping Kelvin on the outside. He had really good footwork. He used his kicks really well to try and keep Kelvin at range. And one thing that I'm looking at is Whittaker was blasted by Adesanya in their last fight. Now, Adesanya is one of those guys who likes to stay at range. He's a long, lanky guy. And I think Till is going to try and copy that blueprint of what Israel did against Rob and try to implement the same thing. And I don't know who hits harder. I think Israel probably hits harder just because of the extensive kickboxing career. However, I think Till can really throw hammers too. I think if Bobby Knuckles can make the fight dirty, he could win. But for me, I'm going to pick my boy Darren Till. I think Darren's going to be able to use the footwork to keep Bobby Knuckles at bay. And I think he kind of uses the blueprint, like I said, that Izzy used, and I think he might be able to put him away. Do I think that'll happen? No. I think Till's going to play it real smart. I think Till's matured a lot. I think Till's going to use his footwork to keep Bobby Knuckles kind of coming in, but he's going to blast him and move. And I think he's going to stay off the center line, really circle the cage. Don't allow Robert to use his grappling, because Robert is a very good wrestler as well. Till's just going to have to do a good job of circling, keeping him off of him, and I think Till will get a decision win.
So this is going to be the fight that comes down and decides the winner for this card, because this is the disparity. This is where we differ, and this is where I think I will win this card. Because I think this fight is going to play out a lot like Woodley Till. I think Whittaker will piece him up on the feet and then take him down if he needs to. I don't see Till. I feel like Till crumbles in big moments. Woodley, Masvidal. He's fought other good fighters and won, but those are the two biggest fights of his career, and he's crumbled. But he like you said, he dropped Masvidal, but he got cocky. I still think he's young, and I still think he's going to make those mistakes. Woodley absolutely dominated him, and there was nothing. I think they pushed him too hard at the beginning of his career, and I don't think that's good. That was good for his career. He ended up changing weight classes. Whittaker coming off that devastating KO to Izzy, that KO was nasty, and I want to see how he bounced back, and I think he will bounce back. He's fought guys that I think punch harder than Till and Yoel. I think Yoel punches harder than Till. I think Yoel is a monster, and he beat Yoel twice.
Yeah, but do you think Yoel hits harder than Izzy?
Yes.
Okay, why did Izzy sleep him and Yoel didn't?
Bro, I don't know. So
it's a shot you don't see, man.
To be honest, if Izzy and Yoel really brawled and didn't run around the cage the whole fight, do you think Izzy would have won that fight? Well, Izzy got close in the beginning, and then he was like, yeah, I'm going to stay away from this. Izzy got close at the beginning of the fight and got hit and was like, oh, no.
I'm not saying who can take a hit better. Yoel's a tank. Yoel can definitely take a hit better. I'm saying who hits harder, Izzy or Yoel.
I think Yoel hits harder. I just think Izzy hit it on the money. I don't think Yoel's as good of a striker as Izzy. No. I think Izzy put it on the money and caught him when he wasn't expecting it, but I do think Yoel hits harder.
Fair assumption.
But I think this fight is going to be an L for Till. I think Whittaker is going to control this fight with ease, relatively. And I think he's going to win this fight, whether it be on the feet or on the ground. And I don't think Till has the ground game to keep up with Whittaker, because Whittaker has that in his back pocket. He doesn't always use it, but it's there. He is definitely a great wrestler, and I think that he will win this fight.
I don't know if you watched Till in his last fight against Kelvin, though, dude. I don't know how that dude made 170. That dude is huge at 85. He's big and he's strong.
Yeah.
He was throwing Kelvin around. It was crazy.
Well, Kelvin needs to go back to 170.
Yeah, Kelvin just needs to stop eating donuts and cut weight.
Kelvin needs to figure out what he wants to do with his life. But he won a split decision against Till. I mean, Till won a split decision against Kelvin.
But that split decision was terrible because Till obviously won 2 rounds. The third round, like the first, second and third round, I definitely gave it to Till. The first round was kind of close. One judge gave it 30-27 Till. Okay. Another judge gave it 29-28 Till. Definitely. I agree with that 100%. Another judge gave it 30-27 for Gastelum. That judge was smoking some crazy stuff that night, dude. There was no absolute way that anybody could have saw Kelvin win in more than 1 round.
Much less 3.
Much less 3. Like, the dude said he won the fight unanimously. Like, those type of people who make those kind of calls deserve to be kicked out of judging in the sport.
Well, I think there's a lot of judges that need to be kicked out of judging in this sport. I think
Exactly.
they need to,
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree.
They need to learn a lot with that. But at the end of the day, this fight is going to decide who wins it, and I think my boy Whittaker is going to pull this out because I think Till crumbles in big moments.
Me. Nah, man, Till's gonna knock him out.
I bet he does.
Third round sleeper. I lie. I don't think he's gonna knock him out. I think he's just gonna beat him with footwork. Anyways, so yeah, guys, that's our picks for the fight for the main card of UFC Fight Night 174, Whittaker versus Till. Thank you guys again if you're tuning in, watching the videos. Please like, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, I don't know how that works. Maybe leave a thumbs up or something like that. I'm really not sure how Spotify works.
Give him a follow.
Yeah, drop a follow, whatever it is. But again, thank you guys for consuming our content. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all, and we hope y'all.
And one last thing, guys. As the end of this video, I'm still the champion. I expect to be the champion in the post fight. So y'all just watch out.
So guys, take note of this. Whenever he loses, when we do this video on Sunday or Monday, let's make sure we throw some L's in the comments for Kanan.
Hey, but that last fight you was 1-4. I can't go that bad.
No, I mean you can't go that bad. That's true. Anyways, guys, thank y'all again. Peace out, guys. Y'all have a good night, week, whatever. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Thank you.